Good morning. So welcome to the Community Church of Chapel Hill, Unitarian Universalist. My name is Jean McKinney, and I am a member of the Worship Associates Ministry. And this morning we are blessed with a sermon from our intern minister, Jenn Kapranov. I especially want to welcome any visitors or newcomers to our church and call your attention to the special note for you on the back of the order of service. Welcome guests and newcomers. I would also like to welcome those of you who are attending online. The lyrics to hymns and all elements of the service may be found on your screen. And a complete order of service, including this week's announcements, is available via the link in the Sunday morning email and on the church website. Our in-person Sunday social is held immediately following the service. Please turn off or silence any cell phones so we might maintain a worshipful experience. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived at this beloved place, you are welcome here. This morning, our Share the Plate donations benefit the Immigrant Justice Initiative. And it's like Ruth Gibson is going to tell us about it.
Hi, I'm Ruth Gibson with the church's Immigrant Justice Initiative. We're in the final week of our I Walk with Immigrants awareness campaign, which is a springboard for sharing more about the work that we do together supporting asylum seekers. We started the Immigrant Justice Initiative at what felt like a time of great peril to immigrants. And as we face an election that could bring a return to that peril, it's helpful and good to recognize the difference that all together we have made in the lives of our asylum-seeking families. So stop by our table at the Sunday Social to see the list of milestones achieved, from finding jobs and buying a first home to reuniting with children that our immigrants were forced to leave behind when they fled. See a map that shows the number of miles they've walked and traveled. Four of the families we work with faced the impossible choice of leaving children behind. Two now have their children with them again. One mother, currently living in the manse, had to leave 5 children. 4 now are scattered with relatives in this country, and we're working to reunite them. These reunions are some of our favorite days. And so many of you have helped in ways large and small. We could not do this without your work and your donations of money. We stretched your donations by negotiating free and reduced-priced medical, dental, and mental health care and legal fees, and finding community resources like the IFC food pantry and porch food deliveries. And of course, having a house on our own grounds saves on one of the highest costs associated with settling newcomers. But even with these resources, we have to raise about $20,000 a year. Your generous support has helped us give 5 families a new start, and many, many more have benefited from short stays in the manse. So please give what you can today to continue strengthening our nation of immigrants. You can make your checks payable to Community Church and write STPIJI on the memo line, or scan the QR code on the back of your program to donate. And thank you very much.
So please stand in body or spirit for our opening hymn, Rising Green. It's on page 1068 of the Teal hymn.
Like the open sky,
So the call to worship is a poem by Starhawk called Community. Somewhere, there are people in whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere, a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter, a circle of healing, a circle of friends, someplace where we can be free. We are a people who speak with passion. We hold our hands open to one another. We celebrate each other's power. We offer our strength to the work that needs to be done. We hold each other. We heal one another. Beloveds, this is a place where we can be free. Come, let us worship together. You will find the words for our chalice lighting in your order of service. Please join me in reading them if you choose. In these wild, historic, and uncertain times, we gather to remember who we are, who we belong to, and what we are called to do. As we light this chalice, we kindle the spirit of the great turning, the movement for justice alive in this nation today. May we feel it in our bones and in the stillness of this hour. May we sense it calling our name. So now we have a musical presentation.
You may notice in your programs or your order of service that Wendy Jebbins was supposed to sing with us this morning. And she, as many of you know, have been very involved in the UU the Vote movement and has given her voice over and woke up this morning with no voice. So we will be singing as a duet this morning. And this is a song by Holly Neer, and we were going to sing it. Well, we're kind of singing it as Emma's Revolution arrangement, but it's just going to be something totally different this morning. Send in 1,000 grandmothers, they will surely volunteer, with their ancient wisdom flowing, they will lend a loving ear, they will lend a loving ear. First they'll form a loving circle around the wounded wing, then contain the brutal beasts of war. Sweet freedom songs they'll sing, sweet freedom songs they'll sing. A lullaby much stronger than bombs and threats to kill. A force unlike we've ever seen will break the murderer's will. To the prisons we'll invite them. Most violent souls will weep when 1,000 women hold them strong and pray their souls to keep, and pray their souls to keep. Let them rock the few who steal the most and rule with youthful charms, so they'll see the damage that they do when they'll fall into grandma's arms. 2,000 loving arms,
If you think these women are too soft to face the world at hand, then you've never known the power of love, and you fail to understand. An old woman holds a powerful force when she no longer needs to please. She can cut your shallow life to bits and bring you to your knees. We best get down on our knees and pray for 1,000 grandmothers. Will you please come volunteer? No longer tucked deep out of sight, will you bring your power here? Will you bring your power here?
Each week, we take time in our service to consider the joys and sorrows of the members of this congregation. If you have a personal joy or sorrow that you would like to share today, please come down on either side. Step forward one at a time, place a stone in the water, come up to the microphone, state your name, and then briefly share your joy or your sorrow with us. Let us enter into this time of tenderness together.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Nancy Mayer. I have not voted yet, but I have spent 20 hours watching other people vote as a poll observer. Yes, I'm actually in the polling place watching people vote. But one thing I want to share, and if you can't think one person can make a difference, I'd like to tell you a little short story. I had a concern about the way the primaries were held with respect to provisional ballots and some other stuff, and I presented it to the person in Durham County who runs the elections. And he kept going, yes, 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 but I didn't know it was going to make a difference. But as I've been poll observing, the supervisors in the polling places have been mirroring my words back exactly. So I can be sure that I have made a difference in voting in Durham County.
I am placing 2 stones in the water this morning. One is in the memory of our dear friend, for Shannon Richards, who passed away last night. The other stone is for all of those joys and sorrows that we hold in our hearts that are not spoken today. Let us join together in honoring and celebrating in gratitude those who are protecting and caring for everybody going out to vote. It's important, and it is a work of love, so thank you. And let's also remember our dear friends who have been a part of this community for so long and loved everyone here so much. Let's hold in a moment of silence, please. Amen.
Please remain seated for Spirit of Life, number 123 in your gray hymnal.
Today's reading is a poem by Joy Harjo called Perhaps the World Ends Here. The world begins at a kitchen table. No matter what, we must eat to live. The gifts of earth are brought and prepared, set on the table. So it has been since creation, and it will go on. We chase chickens or dogs away from it. Babies teethe at the corners. They scrape their knees under it. It is here that children are given instructions on what it means to be human. We make men at it. We make women at it. At this table, we gossip, recall enemies and the ghosts of lovers. Our dreams drink coffee with us as they put their arms around our children. They laugh with us at our poor, falling down selves, and as we put ourselves back together once again at the table. This table has been a house in the rain, an umbrella in the sun. Wars have begun and ended at this table. It is a place to hide in the shadow of terror, a place to celebrate the terrible victory. We have given birth on this table and have prepared our parents for burial here. At this table, we sing with joy, with sorrow. We pray of suffering and remorse. We give thanks. Perhaps the world will end at the kitchen table while we are laughing and crying, eating of the last sweet bite.
Freely have we received gifts that minister to our needs of body and spirit. Gladly we bring to our church and its wide concerns a portion of this bounty. If you wish to donate online, there's a QR code on the back of the order of service, and there's information on the church's website. Today, our generosity extends beyond our walls as we give to the Immigrant Justice Initiative. And if you donate online or if you're writing a check, please write STP in the memo line. We will now receive the morning offering.
I have a voice, started out as a whisper, turned into a scream, made a beautiful noise, shoulder to shoulder marching in the street.
When you're all alone, it's a quiet break. But when you're band together, it's a choir of thunder and rain. Now we have a choice, 'cause I have a voice.
I'm not living to die. Don't stand in a wasteland and look at me in the eye. Stop living a lie and stand up next to me. You gotta put one foot in front of the other, with a hand in a hand, holding on to each other. Go on and rejoice, 'cause you have a voice.
It is loud, it is clear, it's stronger than your fear. It's believing you belong, it's for calling out the wrong. From the silence of my sisters to the violence of my brothers, we can rage like a river, feel the pain of another. I have a voice. I have a voice, and I let it speak for the ones who aren't yet fully free. It's killing me. No one is saying what we need to hear. I will not let silence win, and when I see all the pain our people are in, there's no other choice, 'cause I have a voice. It is loud, it is clear, it's stronger than your fear. It's believing you belong, it's for calling out the wrong. From the mouths of our mothers to the lips of our daughters, we can dream like our brothers, speaking loud like our fathers. We can heal. Can you hear us? Can you hear us now? I have a voice, started out as a whisper, turned into a scream, made a beautiful noise, shoulder to shoulder marching in the street. When you're all alone, it's a quiet break, but when you stand together, it's a choir, thunder and rain. Now we have a choice, 'cause I have a voice. Now we have a choice, 'cause I have a voice. Now we have a voice, 'cause I have a voice.
There is no way to follow that. Thank you. As the days grow shorter, the mornings have a chill in the air, and the leaves get more colorful. We await the fun of Halloween, jack-o'-lanterns lit with candles, children getting candy, and people of all ages dressing up like witches. Why do we dress up like witches? Obviously, we're doing something connected with a very deep and ancient tradition. A complicated, sometimes dark, and dangerous, other times celebratory and empowering tradition. But always, it is a tradition that has its roots in feminine spirituality and feminine power. Throughout history, the word witch has had two connotations, two meanings. We have the witch as the wise one, and we have the witch as the wicked one. In some periods, one prevails. In others, another gets the upper hand. Usually, when somebody says, "I am a witch," they mean the wise one. When somebody says, "You are a witch," they mean the wicked one. They mean the one who consorts with the devil. Traditionally, the wise witch in goddess form possessed intoxicating beauty and charm and had the ability to enact good and bad. In human form, they had deep knowledge of the natural world, served as midwives and healers, creators of love potions, and weavers of spells. The wicked ones came to symbolize the ugliest, most disgusting aspects of power, using their knowledge of nature and elements of the wild to create evil spells and inflict great harm. They were known for their straggly hair and their bony frame, with their large crooked noses and warts and hats, and keeping their familiars, which were usually in the form of black cats. And they lived in dark woods. They had cauldrons. They cackled wildly and fraternized only with other witches at night while they performed their rituals and sacrificed for the devil. I myself have been called a witch. In the second sense, not in the cool sense. In the great year of 1989, in the northeast of the United States of America, I had my first stint in a religious college, one I will not name. At the age of 17, I was brought up on charges of suspected witchcraft and lesbianism. Both were officially illegal at that school. The hearing was complete with evidence, witnesses, jury, and sentencing. My parents were forced to attend. The evidence consisted of having a statue of the Buddha, an African fertility goddess necklace, and a Beetlejuice lunchbox. The most damning piece of evidence was a matchbook from a men's gay bar in town. Now, despite my fervent denials, I was duly found guilty on all charges. The sentence was that I was not allowed to attend classes or be on campus any longer, but my parents would be allowed to continue paying tuition the following year. So sadly, I am not making this up. Fortunately, after this ridiculous display, my parents were very understanding and allowed me to enroll in the most liberal arts college I could find, also in the northeastern part of the States. And thank goodness, I was making friends and having a wonderful time. But in my second year, I was once again accused of witchcraft. Possibly because of my known reputation or my so-called criminal record in this capacity. But a fellow student complained of being tormented in her dreams, and that someone was sending bees to her room to attack her at night. She publicly accused me and of being the culprit, and this time I did not have a trial, but by student outcry, it grew so great. It led to the faculty coming, who very pointedly asked me to please use my powers for good instead of evil. I tried to point out that it was spring and that the person accusing me lived above a lilac bush. This might account for the bees. It didn't help. Now, this may have sounded absurd and funny, which it is, but it was quite frightening. People relished the idea of having a wicked witch in their midst, and they had a lot of fun at my expense. Why accuse me in the first place? I had never been a practitioner of witchcraft. I never identified as a witch. I learned that expressing my spiritual nature could be dangerous. I felt tarnished by the accusation. And it made me so angry. But it also made me so frightened. So I stuffed it down, turned it all to a joke, and then I kept my mouth quiet. It seems that there is some ingrained fear of feminine spirituality in us. It becomes particularly inflamed during times of suffering and confusion. In the 1400s, people were suffering from the Little Ice Age. They endured years and years of plague and war and starvation. They were greatly disturbed, and people's understanding of the world and their belief in God no longer made sense. They were looking for answers. Answers usually came in the form of a scapegoat. Probably the most salient example is Joan of Arc, who led an army in an insurrection against British occupation of France and won. This could probably not have been done by a man, which is why both the British and the church authorities found this so offensive. She was captured, convicted of heresy and witchcraft, and she was burned at the stake. Here we notice a pattern in the persecution of witches. Very often the reason for such persecution is rather mundane. Nothing to do with spirituality or magic, but more of a desire to eliminate your opponent. The famous biblical injunction, "You shall not suffer a witch to live," is often motivated by the desire to maintain a monopoly of the priestly classes on a spiritual matter and uphold a patriarchal system. Historically, the second most popular book after the Bible for hundreds of years was a witch hunting manual called the Malleus Maleficarum, or the Witch's Hammer, which was written by a gentleman named Heinrich Kramer. It is a detailed manual on how to identify, arrest, torture, and execute witches. Now, reading a little about the history of Heinrich Kramer, he was not a very successful country priest in northern Germany. His sermons were not popular, and he tried to make the attendance mandatory. There was one eccentric woman in the town, and she openly mocked his narcissistic and pugnacious style. She encouraged other women to do the same, and they would heckle him on Sunday mornings. He had her arrested, accused of witchcraft, and she was tortured for some time, until the local bishop stepped in and had Heinrich Kramer publicly humiliated and banished from the region for behaving in such an absurd manner. His next move was to ask for the Pope's protection, and then he began writing his book, which started a Europe-wide craze of witch hunts and trials, resulting in what is estimated as between 50 and 100,000 people tortured and killed as witches. Now, reverberations of this frenzy can still be found in Shakespeare's Macbeth and Goethe's Faust. But the laws against witchcraft in England were renewed repeatedly until 1951. The last witch trial took place in 1944, when a woman with psychic abilities correctly predicted the sinking of a British ship, and she was imprisoned for it. In our own times, according to The Guardian, on September 27th, 2024, Pastor Lance Wallnow, a self-proclaimed prophet, appeared in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, and stated that, now I'm going to say, a prominent politician who shall remain nameless, she is being guided by demonic forces and has used the spirit of Jezebel to deceive followers. She can look presidential, referring to her debate performance. That's the seduction of which I would say is witchcraft. That's the manipulation of imagery that creates an impression contrary to the truth, but it seduces you into seeing it. So that spirit, that occult spirit, I believe, is operating on her and through her. We know the real reason for such accusations is to do political harm. But after being on the receiving end of such accusations, I understand that the harm goes much deeper. A witch is something beyond the pale of humanity, something in league with Satan. You can take away a witch's rights, dignity, property, and bodily autonomy. In fact, it's a good thing to harm a witch from the perspective of some religious traditions today. Unfortunately, in our faith, we do not have this perspective. We know from our own history that many Unitarians in Transylvania and Poland suffered in similar types of persecution as heretics in the 1500s. We make room for differences. We support and we celebrate feminine spirituality. In our church movement, we have a thriving covenant of Unitarian Universalist pagans. The word witch is a term of respect for us. It connotes independence, strength, and wisdom. This movement has been heavily influenced by the works of Starhawk. One of her ideas is that there are different types of power, not just power over or power of domination, but the power from within. So what are the features of feminine power? It's not about domination and aggression. It can be much more about compassion, communication, and connection. It's about giving and sharing rather than taking. And that's what's largely missing and out of balance in the technological and masculine-centered power system that we are all living under. Our culture favors the power of domination. Winners take all, leaving many people cut off and left out, finding themselves lost and alone on the internet. People can often find themselves going down dark corridors, running into strange ideas. Just like in the dark woods and fairy tales, it's easy to get frightened and to believe that evil forces are at work. And it's comforting to find people to join with in fighting these evil forces. And much like in the 15th century, we find ourselves in a time of war, pandemics, overwhelming natural disasters, and famine. People are frightened, and people are looking for someone to take their anger out on. The idea of suppressing feminine power has taken hold, and it's not going away. It can either continue out in the open or it can fester and grow underground, but with far more virulence. Reproductive rights have already been taken away from many of us. There are political leaders that do not want to stop there. They want to control our body autonomy, who should have children, who should be ashamed because they do not. They want to control how we live our lives, not just what we do with our bodies. They claim they will be our protectors. Never. So how do we fight this? How do we beat this current back? I don't think we're going to stop this by continuing to engage in the same rules of cartoonishly masculine power systems that have got us into this mess in the first place. That's why feminine spirituality and feminine power is so important. I saw a brilliant example of feminine power a few weeks ago during the first post-Helene storm Friday Action Hour. It is hosted by UU Justice and C, and they meet at 11 o'clock on Zoom. Zoom is not the most obvious place to see an example of feminine power. But during this meeting, UUs from all over the state joined, and during our time together, Reverend Lisa Garcia Sampson, our beloved community minister here at Community Church, she invited all of those deeply affected by the storm to share their stories. One person shared about their home being destroyed, losing their cars, losing everything, and losing hope. Reverend Lisa asked, "What do you need?" And then said, "We will get it to you." Reverend Lisa meant this. We later saw trucks being loaded in Charlotte and driven to Asheville, filled with supplies. A member of the group set up a GoFundMe page for the person who told their stories. Reverend Lisa had built up enough relationships and goodwill throughout the entire state to be able to ask, "What do you need?" and say, "We will get it for you." And fully mean it and follow through. That was something. That was beautiful, and that was powerful. I thought that this was one of the best examples of feminine power I had ever seen until Reverend Lisa asked the person who told us their story to put their hands up over their heart. And they did. And then she asked every one of us to put our hands up to the screen, to the camera, so this person could see us. And then asked us to send all of the love in our hearts to this person. And we did. And as we did, the person holding their heart cried out, "I feel it. I feel your love. I can feel it. I can feel your love." And she cried, and we all cried, Most of us cried. I certainly cried. It felt almost like, a revival meeting where you see the laying out of hands and somebody cries out. But this was so real. And it was powerful. And that made me completely rethink what feminine power could be. What our movement could still do, despite the confines of our technological world. I would like to say that there was no magic in our shared time over Zoom. But maybe there was. Maybe what makes feminine power so suspicious and frightening to some is the fact that it's visceral. You can really feel it affect you. It resonates somewhere in the realm of the body and the spirit, not just in the mind. It's a way of communicating beyond words, and now it can even transcend computers. Spooky. So what is the good news here? And I mean the really good news. Well, as the days grow darker and more mysterious, as we prepare for the day of remembrance and Halloween, we know that we have the knowledge and the resources to keep malignant forces away. We can use our voices without fear or hesitancy, the full strength of our voices to make a beautiful noise to break through the darkness, so loud and so powerful that our love will transcend any device or any filter and truly be experienced all around us. May it be so. Amen.
Please stand in body or spirit for our closing hymn, We Are. It's on page 1051 in the Teal hymnal. The words for extinguishing the chalice are in your order of service. Please join me if you wish to do so. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, are the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. So let's thank everyone who contributed to the service this morning. And please join us in singing Shalom. The words are in your order of service, so you can either hold hands, or if you don't want to do that, cross your heart.